Hello, and thank you for joining us here on Ask a Historian. I'm Matthew Wilkinson, historian with Heritage Mississauga. Please send in your questions to history@heritagemississauga.org as we explore the fascinating stories of Mississauga together on the program. Like, subscribe, and follow us and stay up to date on all the heritage happenings with Heritage Mississauga. On this episode, we are doing something a little different from the staff at Heritage Mississauga. In the spirit of Christmas and the holiday season, we are going to explore some personal stories and memories as we wish you and yours all the very best for the holiday season and the new year. To get ourselves in the mood for Christmas and celebrating this time of season, we're going to wander down a little bit of memory lane with Heritage Mississauga staff. And our first question is, do you have a favorite memory or tradition around Christmas, New Year's, or the holiday season?
Christmas is a very magical time for my family. It always has been. And the elders in our family have always made as much magic and excitement around the holidays as they possibly could. And it's everything to do with everything, the songs, the music, the movies, the cartoons, the food, the lights, the trees, just everything has always been very special. But for me, there's two really important things that we always do. And every year we have had a fresh Christmas tree all of my life. And it's not Christmas without that smell and without going down. Sometimes we went and cut it down. And went up north and cut the trees down with the kids and brought it home. And it's just not Christmas without that fresh Christmas tree. And then the other thing that is really special in our family, we gather everybody together and get in the car with hot chocolate and cookies. And we go and we visit all of the Christmas lights locally. And we just tour Mississauga Road and all of the different places that have the beautiful lights. And it's a tradition in our family that we do that every year.
Yeah, favorite memory around Christmas would be a couple years ago. We got the chance to go back to where my dad is from and spend Christmas with my grandparents, which I regularly visited them, but I hadn't spent the holiday season with them. And I just think Christmas is about family, and that will always be like such a special memory for me. Very personal memory of finally spending Christmas with my grandparents.
For me, there are a multitude of memories over time. Some, stretching back to childhood. Fondly remember getting road hockey stuff several years as kids, and playing most of the day outside with road hockey and beyond. That was a big staple of our life growing up. My brother and I, and all the neighborhood kids gathering for road hockey in Arendelle Village. And there's just a multitude of other things. The decorating, of course, always been a fan of, but also the family gatherings. Our house for much of my younger years was the kind of grand central gathering place for the extended family at Christmas. That later shifted to my cousin Linda's house in Oakville, but always a fun time for us. That Christmas gathering, a house full of people literally bursting at the seams was always fun. And also I've for many years, countless years now, I've really enjoyed the ceramic Christmas villages. Started off, collecting a few and then painting my own back when White Rose was in operation, and something I've continued now, and my children have kind of joined that endeavor, if you will, or that passion. Something we still look forward to each and every year now. And now that I do have kids, really seeing Christmas through their eyes, the excitement, the kind of the idea of creating new traditions of your own. My daughter now, her tradition is making lasagna on Christmas Eve, and always to the going to Christmas Eve church service at St. Peter's Anglican Church, Arendelle, was always a treasure. My mother was something she was very passionate about, and something that has passed down to my daughter now, and kind of that tradition, if you will, of being rooted in family and rooted in history, and that multi-generational connection to a place and time. But no, there are too many memories and traditions to kind of focus on just one, but always a treasured part of the year.
My favorite holiday tradition is spending time with my family, my nieces, my extended family. And growing up, we went to Streetsville United Church, and we would go there for caroling in the evening. And it would be about a 7 o'clock service. And other friends that we knew growing up would be at church too. So it would be a packed house at Streetville United. And then after church, usually we would all go back to someone's house and then just have Christmas treats and drinks. And then we would go back to our homes to do a Christmas Eve, which would involve opening one gift. So that was my big family tradition.
Yeah, so when I was a kid, my favorite kind of Christmas memories was normally something to do with my grandparents coming into town because my grandparents would always come and stay with us for a month. They lived in Trenton, so it's kind of far away. So it was really nice to kind of see them. And on Christmas Eve, we would always go out for Chinese food. That was our thing because my grandpa was Chinese, so that was kind of like our big like Christmas dinner in a sense. And so we'd always go to this place called Sam Wu in Mississauga, which is now closed down, unfortunately, but it was amazing. I loved that place. And everyone had their like favorite dishes that they would order around the table and we would all kind of share. And then we would go home and we would read "'Twas the Night Before Christmas." And actually, one kind of funny thing too is that when I was a kid, I was convinced that I saw Rudolph from my window. Um, I was convinced I had seen Rudolph, and I think it was just a plane because we were under the flight path in Meadowvale. But anyways, I'm gonna say I saw Rudolph. And anyways, and so that's kind of what I remember. And then the next day on Christmas, we would open gifts. That was kind of like our big gift time because I know other people do it on Christmas Eve, but we did it on Christmas Day. And so I would always just, like run down the stairs and and be like, Mom, Dad, like let's open presents, Grandma, Granddad, let's open presents. And yeah, but then they would always be like, we haven't had our coffee yet, you need to wait. And so then I would have to, wait for that. But after that it would always be very fun. So
Are there traditional family foods or happenings that you look forward to each year?
So in our family, we celebrate 2 days. We celebrate Christmas Eve with our Hungarian family, and we have the traditional foods of fish and some wonderful Hungarian sweets of bagli and floating clouds. And my mother-in-law just does this amazing, amazing dinner. It's just beautiful. And then on Christmas Day, everyone comes to our house and we celebrate again with the whole traditional turkey and the fixings and all of that stuff. The one really special piece that happens every year for us. My mom is an incredible baker, and it's not Christmas without all of her Christmas cookies, the rocks and the cutouts and the icing and the bars and all of the really wonderful sweets. And usually she puts together a traditional Christmas pudding that was a recipe that her mother made every year for the family. So it's food for us is really special, but it comes in two different ways. And we really like that new tradition that we have as a family over the last 30 years. It's been great.
So in terms of the cultural foods and stuff, I think it's really I've been more aware of it after I got married and my like my in-laws are Polish. My husband is also Polish, I also say. So we have so now we do like Vigilia is what they call it. So it's their Christmas Eve kind of tradition, their traditional food that they have. So they typically have like 12 different dishes for all the apostles. And they leave like a spot open for like a guest, basically, like a stranger that would come in. So you're kind of keeping that that kind of spirit of charity open. And we almost always have people that are friends or like relatives that are visiting from out country. So we've had, people from Japan, from Mexico, from the United States, from different things that, we welcome into the home. And it's also really great because with all those people comes all their different cultural like foods and traditions. So, we'll have Mexican food, we'll have the traditional Polish food, which is like no meat kind of thing. And we'll have, I'll bring, Jamaican food because my family's Jamaican, Chinese Jamaican. I'll bring Chinese food. I'll like, we'll have all different types of things. Like it's just a total assortment. So we always say it's like United Nations for Christmas Eve. And yeah, and I mean, even my parents even love coming to those things as well. So I think, making these new traditions has been really, really great over the years.
For our food traditions, one thing that we always would get is Battenberg cake, which is a light sponge cake, and it has marzipan on the outside, and then there's four squares inside, two pink squares and two white squares. So I would eat that. That was really good. We would put it in the freezer and take it out on Christmas. We would usually have Christmas cookies as well in the morning on Christmas Day. We would always have coffee cake. So homemade coffee cake with walnuts.
Well, for favorite family foods, I mean, there's the traditional ones, the turkey family dinner on Christmas Day, and but for us, I remember my mom was partial to minced tarts, and something they grew on me over time, I think, but something we were quite passionate about at that time. But I remember the clementines at the time, that fresh fruit at winter time. We were big on kind of the traditional ones that had a backstory to it. Wassail we made every year, or the hot fruit punch or cider, if you will. But we always made that from scratch, and something I've continued to do. And just there were all those kind of early traditions, if you will, that kind of just became cemented as this is what you did. And again, it was often around food, but not always. It was the Christmas Eve service, much like many kids, when you got home, you're allowed to open one present, and then of course you waited for the next morning to open your other ones. So those were big. But for us, I also remember my mom celebrated New Year's and Epiphany, January 6th, as kind of big moments in the calendar for kind of food and gatherings and whatnot. And particularly, we were always involved in first footing on New Year's Eve of kind of that the bringing the blessings and the best wishes and to your house for the year ahead. And something again I've continued with my family, was something that we grew up with.
At Christmas, I always look forward to us roasting codfish on Christmas Eve. For us, Christmas Eve is like the big event, and there's usually no meat for Portuguese people, and I think for a lot of Catholic people as well. So we always do codfish, and it's delicious.
Looking ahead to the new year and the beginning of the next 50-year chapter for the city of Mississauga, do you have a New Year's wish for the city?
So my wish for people that live in Mississauga and anyone around the world, in fact, for 2025 is prosperity, abundance, time with family and friends and loved ones, great health, and hopefully nice weather in Canada.
So looking forward, I wish everyone good health, and prosperity in the new year and for the next 50 years. I hope that we keep our identity as Mississaugans, and and we're proud of the city that we live in. We've come a long way in the past 50 years, and just thinking of all the things that we could accomplish in the next 50 years, like the possibilities are really endless. So, just keep an eye on that, and let's continue to grow and prosper, not only in the new year, but for the next 50 years.
Looking ahead to the next 50 years, celebrating and reflecting back on 50 years of history for the city of Mississauga has been a marvelous time. It's been a learning experience, but it's a fascinating way of celebrating and connecting with our story of this place. There's a magic to kind of celebrating the place in which you live. And looking forward to the next 50 years, I hope we continue to marvel and explore the stories of Mississauga. Uh, we're not at the end chapter. We're literally turning the page, and the history of the stories continue and will continue to be recorded. It's the old moniker of Mississauga, by Mississauga, about Mississauga. It really is the story of this place, the story that we call home. And my wish going forward is that we continue to find the magic at home. We continue to find the magic within Mississauga, the stories of who we are and how we came to be. As the city continues to evolve and new people come to call it home, and the story that is Mississauga continues to kind of expand and explore itself and celebrate the things that are Mississauga. I hope that we also continue to connect to the roots of this place, that the Streetsvilles and Port Credits and Arundels and Cooksvilles and Maltons and Meadowvales, they continue to be a cherished part of our city. And we reflect both on kind of the pride in our past, but faith in our future, as the motto of our city is a very apt one. So I do hope that we are able to balance the two and find the magic therein, and also just health and prosperity, and best wishes to all that call Mississauga home. And I hope there is magical years before us.
My New Year's wish for the city and for the next 50 years of Mississauga is to embrace innovation and new ideas. Hopefully, ideas that are sustainable and inclusive. I think there's going to be a lot of change in our city, but I think we can look towards that with optimism and embrace new ideas, be creative, and have some hope for what the city will look like in the next 50 years.
I would like to begin our next 50-year journey working together as a community, celebrating our shared heritage story, and doing what we can to support each other.
Thank you for spending some time with us here, and thank you also to Heritage Mississauga staff, Executive Director Jamie Gaspar, Collections and Resource Lead Justine Lynn, Cultural Heritage Coordinator Megan McIntosh, Communications and Social Media Coordinator Melissa Tost, and myself, Historian Matthew Wilkinson. Like, subscribe, and follow us, and we will see you on future episodes with Heritage Mississauga. And Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and best wishes for a marvelous next 50 years to the city of Mississauga and to everyone who calls it home.
Have a wonderful Merry Christmas and an incredible Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, everyone.
Just want to say Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
And Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to everyone watching.